takes the ball into the penalty area. It's on his right bar. And he's done. Oh, what a strike for Wally O'Neill. And Leyton Orient double the advantage in style. Scoring the second and the driver.
Welcome to Orient Live, and the Orient Express train keeps thundering on with the O's sitting in the highest league position in well over a decade. We could go one further tonight and even creep into those playoff spots if all things go to plan, including across the other league fixtures as well. I'm Ollie Buck, and I'm delighted to be joined in the studio this evening by Andrew Butler and Orient star Jordan Graham. Thank you for joining me, boys. And firstly, Jordan, great to see you. Great to see you not in a knee brace. How's things going on that injury front?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for having me back. I always love coming on here, so it's a pleasure. And it's nice to be able to walk into the room without the knee brace, yeah. Monday was the first day that I was out of it. So it was a tough 6 weeks after surgery because I had to keep my legs straight for the first 6 weeks. I wasn't allowed any bend. So that was a difficult period. But it's kind of a crazy journey because you know, you can get inside your head every day thinking, am I progressing? Am I not progressing? What is my rate of progression? But Monday was quite big because coming out of the brace felt monumental. And I try and look at the rehab in terms of the small things actually feel like massive things. So I'm looking forward to finishing off a positive week. And yeah, things are healing really well. Actually, a lot quicker than they were last time round when I did it. So I think I'm on the right track.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. And whilst it must be so frustrating to have to watch from your sofa here on Orient Live, it must have helped a little bit watching such a good run of form. And in fact, we were discussing, I think the last time we lost in the league was that game which did your injury, so maybe a bit bittersweet.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I vividly remember last season when I ruptured my patella, and after that we actually went on a really bad run of form, and I kind of felt like I was the one that was maybe doing really well in the team. And this year round, the minute I come out of the team, they go and win, 11 games in a row. But no, it's been a lot more enjoyable this time round, being able to watch the team win and produce some really good performances. And I mean, I've only been back in the training ground for around about a week now, and just the vibe around the place. I mean, I've been speaking to the team and the staff every day pretty much since the injury at the end of November. But it's different when you're there, when you get the feel of being back around the training ground. And it's always good when you're part of an environment and you walk into an environment that is really positive and the results are good. Because when the results are good, everyone's happy. And when everyone's happy, it's a good place to be. So a little bit different to last time round, but I'm enjoying being back nonetheless.
And just while we look at tonight's match then, as I said at the top of the show, the highest we've been in a very long time, I think since, especially under this ownership and this stewardship, but the potential tonight, if some results in the league go our way, we could actually creep into the playoffs, which is crazy when you consider where we were 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, kind of unheard of in terms of form across the league. We're top for the last 10 games played as well. We've only dropped 4 points in the last 10, which is just absolutely incredible. And full credit to Richie and the players for sticking through what could have been on paper a really sticky Christmas spell as well. And then Reading at home on Saturday was one of those games where it kind of really put the cream on top of the cake for me in terms of coming out of that really incredibly busy period. Of course, we're playing again tonight and Stockport on Saturday, and then we have a week's break. But it was one of those games where, okay, on paper it looks like, okay, 2-0 home looks like a routine win, but in some ways it's like a perfect performance, a goal in each half, clean sheet, reducing the away side to virtually nothing, was a really, really brilliant performance. So that was really enjoyable, and the whole form, the whole way that we've been going about business. You look at games like tonight, kind of go, yeah, Exeter away is never going to be nice on the Tuesday night, but the form we're in, you kind of go, right, well maybe we will win today.
Things certainly are rosy in the Orient Garden at the moment, and that's all thanks to one man and his players, of course. But it's time to hear from the gaffer. It's Richie Wellens.
Gaffer, Exeter to come next. How much are we looking forward to it?
Looking forward to it. Gives another chance, another opportunity for us to get 3 points. I think they're a team that started the season really well. Obviously, we've not won for a while, so it's an opportunity for us to go down there and win the game.
If we look back to Saturday, how pleased were you with the performance, having had the chance to look back at some things?
I think there's a few pleasing aspects. When we done the things that we wanted to do, we looked really threatening. We could have scored a few goals. I think Dylan himself could have maybe scored 3 in the first half an hour. We dealt with their threat, long balls into Smith, 8's running, because they have got some good players. And then I think the most pleasing part about it was the second half. We was never in any danger, really professional, managed the game well. At no point did I ever think that he was going to score 1 goal, never mind 2, and get back in the game. So I think these parts of the season where you want to be, like some of the games we have been recently, really dynamic and go for the throat and score more goals. But then there's going to be also, especially with 3 games a week, going to be parts of the season where you need to be professional, manage the game, manage your legs, and I thought we've done that second half really well.
Dylan obviously got his first goal for the club. Azim looked great as well on his debut. How pleasing is it for you to see the 2 new lads, not looking like new lads, looking like they've been here for a while?
Well, it doesn't surprise me, because when I have these meetings with players, I try and explain to them the environment and the group that we've got. So when any new player comes in, whether it be a trialist or a permanent player, then they find it that easy. They settle in really quickly. So we've seen Dylan's qualities in training pretty quick. We knew we could be a goal threat from his time at Chesterfield, and he's got into some really good areas in his first 2 games. He'll improve, he'll get stronger, he'll get fitter, and he'll get better out of possession, which will then allow him to pick up more balls, especially on transition. I think he improved, not just, he will improve going forward, but I actually thought he improved within the game against Reading. And I think Azim, he's only trained with us once or twice. I think you can see the talent that he's got, his athleticism is there to see. And I thought in terms of debut's goal, I thought Dylan was good last week in a pretty tired performance from us, but he was the energetic one. He was the one that gave us something, but made sure he was defensively, in his defensive duties he was very good, kept a clean sheet away at Peter, which not many teams do. And I thought his home debut had more opportunities to attack, and I thought it was a real threat. So both of them can be really pleased with it, but it's only a start now, they just need to kick on.
So it's just the one change that Richie has opted for as we line up to face Exeter. But let's take a look and see how that starting 11 looks. And it's Sean Clare who comes into midfield and replaces Jordan Brown, who drops to the bench. He starts alongside the captain Dan Pratley in the heart of midfield, and just behind them in the back 4 is Jack Corrie at left back, Ethan Galbraith at right back, Brandon Cooper and Omar Beckles are at the heart of defence, and Josh Keeley is the man behind them in the sticks as well. Looking further up the pitch, then leading the line is Charlie Kelman, and then the 3 attacking players, it's Jamie Donnelly in the 10, and then 2 new boys, Dylan Markanday and Azim Abdullahi in the wide positions. And then here we have on the bench, we have Noah Phillips, Tom James, Jaden Sweeney, Dan Happy, Jordan Brown, Dialang Jay Simi and Zach Obiero. So, one change, maybe probably a case of a lot of football has been played by Jordan, a lot of football has been played in general. You can't change the winning formula too much.
No, and I'm kind of not surprised to see most of the team start again on Saturday, because whilst it was at times a trickier game for some, it looked comfortable towards the end of the game. The new boys came in and did an amazing job, able to make substitutions, keep everyone a bit fresh. I mean, Jordan Brown has obviously played a lot of football, but so is the man next to him in central defensive midfield as well, with Darren Pratley. So Pratt's staying in the team. Once again, we spoke about him quite a lot on Saturday, so we won't go over old ground, but incredible to see him starting again and keeping that motor going. And I said on Saturday about kind of this team looking like made out of almost like building blocks. You take one out, you can put another one in, and it's just kind of like the machine just carries on working. And we saw a bit of that on Saturday with the new wide players, but it's similar in those defensive midfield roles as well, with Pratley and Clare, or is it Pratley and Brown, or is it Brown and Clare? They will do a magnificent job, and they have done for the last couple of months.
Jordan wasn't here to wax lyrical about Pratley on Saturday, but I mean, watching him play at his age is astounding, isn't it? And when you put him in midfield, it feels like it doesn't matter who you put in alongside him. It's a midfield that at the moment everything seems to work.
Yeah, I personally couldn't speak highly. I can't speak highly enough of Pratt. I think he's an amazing person, first of all, first and foremost, which is what matters to me the most. And as a player and as a professional, the way he looks after himself, how dedicated he is to the game, what he gives to the game on and off the pitch every single day. I remember signing for Orient about 18 months ago now, and I'd never played with Prats before. I played against him and I'd heard of Darren Pratley, but to watch him firsthand in how he goes about his career and looking after himself, and not just that, looking after everyone else. I don't think I've got the words to honestly say what a professional and what a guy he is. I think anyone out there who watches football and wants to play as long as they can, myself included, should be watching people like Darren on a daily basis and watch what he gives to the game, watch how he lives, watch how he eats, watch how he sleeps, watch how he trains. I think in football nothing happens by chance and coincidence, and you don't get to play at the level he's playing at the age he is unless you dedicate yourself like he has. And on top of that, like I said, he cares for everyone else, and I think he's going to be a massive part of the running at the back end of this season, because having such a young squad with average age, I know we probably won't like me mentioning his age so much, but I think he's going to be extremely influential going into the latter part of the season, and I think he can really help some of the younger boys come through what they like to call the business end of the season. And I'm sure not many of the lads have been in a position where they potentially could get in the playoffs. So I think someone like Darren, will be very, very important to the group.
And from a footballing sense as well, then obviously Sean Clare signed as a right back originally, and then it seemed to be a revelation, him in midfield. What do you think the balance of a midfield of Darren Pratley and Sean Clare looks like? We haven't seen it too much.
I think it goes really well. I think it suits. I think Sean is an excellent footballer. He's got a really good brain. He's an outstanding athlete. He's as fit as a fiddle, and he takes on information really well. And again, like Pratt, he's a very loud, confident individual. So he brings a lot of energy and vibe to the team, positive spirit constantly. So I think those two in midfield, one thing that you're guaranteed is energy, you're guaranteed experience, and you're guaranteed to get told where you need to be at what point on the pitch by them both, because they're both very vocal players, and we don't necessarily have probably one of the most vocal teams. So I think those two are very good in them holding midfield roles. I also think Brownie's a fantastic footballer as well, and I think this is probably why we're in such a good position right now, because we've got the ability to rotate players. I mean, we've got Ethan, for example, playing right back, who his whole life has played as a 10 or a midfielder. I mean, there's lots of variations. Players can play in different positions, and not just that, they're happy to play in different positions. We've got a group that just are enjoying their football and are willing to get on with it. And they almost accept they know it's their time. When it's their time to come out and miss a game, someone else is going to come in and they're chomping at the bit to take their place. And healthy competition in the squad is really good, and I think that's why we're thriving right now.
And what do you think it is? I mean, he's such a progressive footballer that we've seen when he's moved into midfield, getting the ball forward and looking forward and picking that pass, which is a really welcome influence when he came into that position. Jordan Brown may be a slightly different type of midfielder, but tactically, what do you think that says about the game that the staff are expecting tonight?
I think it's a more positive outlook, perhaps. I've loved the way that Sean Clare's come into the midfield. I mean, it's been a funny old season for him, because we remember that he started the season almost looked like he was signed as a right back, and then he slotted into central midfield, and everyone was kind of taken by surprise. Like, hang on, this guy can play centre midfield, and then actually he came on there afterwards and corrected both you and I, saying, well, I've played loads of that in my career anyway. But he's an incredibly good progressive footballer. There's some nice elements to his game that I really like, and on Saturday we saw one of them where he got the ball just on the edge of the box, and rather than trying to manoeuvre his body to try and get the shot off, a lovely little flick around almost like a Cruyff turn to pass it to Jordan Brown, who actually got a shot off on goal in the end. And it's kind of it suggests a player that's also full of confidence too. So hopefully he'll be able to get forward. We saw in the away game against Stockport, when he was able to bomb on and eventually got on the score sheet that day. So yeah, hopefully more of that.
Let's get into the fun part then, and talking about goals. And obviously we probably wouldn't have wanted to have signed so many attacking players, wide players, with the injuries that we've unfortunately suffered. You know that better than anyone, Jordan, but looking at Saturday's game, Dylan and Azim coming in, they slotted in so effortlessly. Is that a sign of how well the team's coached, or just how good a group it is?
I think a bit of both, to be honest. I think they're both really good footballers. They both have, I think, quite clear attributes, and they're very different in terms of what they can be. I think Azim looks like he's probably not as naturally comfortable as out there on the wing as Dylan might be, but at the same time, I think he offers something else completely different where he could play more centrally. And I think with his, he's very athletic. I think he's a type that likes to almost be basically a box to box winger kind of player, and he wants the ball constantly. He wants to make things happen, and he looks like a real good signing. And at the same time, I think it's also part and parcel. It's really good coaching. The coaching staff are really good here. They like to make people feel at home and make players feel like they've been here a lot longer than they have. And of course, it does really well when the team is in such good form. When you come into a team that's winning almost every game every week, then there's almost no pressure. It's just almost like go out there and have fun. So I think it's all a little bit of all of it combined. But hopefully, they seem to have started really well, and long may that continue.
Absolutely, and it was Dylan who got his goal on his home debut and maybe took some of the headlines, but Azim took a lot of the spotlight as well. Is it too early to say almost Jude Bellingham-esque, Andrew?
Yeah, it is too early to say that. But I love the look of him. I thought he was brilliant, as well as Dylan on Saturday. They both looked just kind of like, it looks so at home here. I wouldn't be surprised if they've got a loyalty card at 5 lads already. That was the kind of level that they were playing at on Saturday. And I mean, Jordan's absolutely spot on. It's probably easier to come into a winning team, but also they looked like the players who were they knew they were going to get opportunities to get efforts in on goal as well. The way that Markandé was kind of trying to get in behind the defence, knowing that players like Jamie Donnan were going to find him, and Charlie Cumming occasionally will drop deep and get him involved as well. They both look like, okay, we're here to score goals, and I know that sounds perhaps a little bit stupid to say, but if you're coming into a losing team, you might try too hard, and you might try to kind of, you'll be playing in a more defensive team, and the goal is to shore up defence, and you might get a chance to attack from here and there, but it won't be your out and out game. But for both of them, they were just, they were playing high lines in attacking roles the whole game, probably because they know that we are the form team, and we could give licence to them.
One player who's really benefiting from an attacking brand of football is Charlie Kelman. He can't stop scoring as of late. 12 goals for the season now, and he went through a bit of a dry patch in that kind of early middle stage of the season. I think he scored in more or less every other game since Boxing Day or so. So he's really loving life, and when you've got a striker who knows where the back of the net is, playing football must just be so much easier. Yeah,
Charlie deserves it. Charlie is a little bit different from some of the lads that we've been speaking about so far. In terms of Charlie, I really have a lot of time for Charlie, because I saw him go through a really difficult spell earlier in the season, and that was when I was fit, and he'd always be asking questions, always knocking on the manager's door. He's probably not going to enjoy the fact that I'm telling everyone this, because he's one of the funniest ones around the changing room and likes to keep things private. But no, he's again almost a younger version of Prats, in terms of he likes to do everything the right way. Like, if he's struggling to score, why is he struggling to score? He'll be knocking on the manager's door. Why am I not? Can we watch footage? How many hours of footage him and the manager and the staff must have watched for him to get into better positions? You'd ask him, am I making the wrong runs? He's very open to admitting some of his vulnerabilities, and then how quickly can I work on them and change and become a better striker? Because at the end of the day, he loves to score goals, as I believe all strikers should have that natural instinct of wanting to score goals, want to take the penalty off someone else and score, and he is very much like that. And I watched him go through a really difficult period on the season, and I think it showed his character. He was the last one out on the training pitch. He'd be finishing on his own. He'd grab a keeper and say, stay out, I need to work on this type of finish. And he'd say to me, stay out and put crosses in for me so I can learn. I've got a lot of time for Charlie, and I think he's deserving now. He's reaping his rewards from the hard work that he put in when he was going through a tough patch.
And whilst it's fun to talk about goals then, Andrew, it's the clean sheets that win your games, isn't it? If you don't concede, you don't lose. Let's talk about the defence, and we're going to take a look at Brandon Cooper in particular. He had a fantastic game on Saturday. We've got some clips of him here though this season. He's probably not had the easiest season either, but he's someone who, as Jordan mentioned earlier, when you get your opportunity, you take it and you keep that spot.
Yeah, and a real testament to A, the depth of the squad, but also how hard to when he's been called upon, he's come in and performed very, very well. Got a couple of goals very early on in the season against Newport in the Cup, and then Brentford. You and I, Ollie, would have just been there off to the left, hurtling down the stairs for that. But whenever he's been called upon, he's performed very, very well, and it can't have been easy as well, because, like you say, Dan Happy and Omar Beckers have been kind of the main two guys. Jack Simpson's got the look in and got the nod when they've not been available, and so he's had to be really, really patient, and it's just really nice to see him perform like this. Obviously got a goal, well, scored a penalty against Derby. That took real determination and grit to be one of the people to say, yeah, you know what, I'll take one of the first five. And yeah, we saw a bit of attacking threat there on Saturday when he played the ball through for Markandale. So yeah, full credit to him. But again, it kind of goes back to the sort of thing I was saying earlier about the way that this squad seems to be operating, is that you can take one player out, another player comes in, and you wouldn't notice that there's any kind of change in personnel.
A neighbour of yours as well, Jordan, and yeah, you must be really delighted for him watching from here.
Absolutely, yeah. Ironically, another one of the boys in the team that I'm quite close to and have a lot of time for, because we were just speaking about Charlie a minute ago. Charlie, I saw, had a difficult spell during this season where he wasn't scoring. Brandon has had a lot more of a difficult time at Orient, I think, since he signed, and I think he'd be the first to admit that in terms of lack of game time. But he's a fantastic professional, always wants to improve, lives his life how young aspiring footballers should live their life, and it allows him to be ready to take his chances when they come. And I think if he can just work on stopping from getting cramp at 60 minutes every other game, I think he's got a massive chance to have, a really, really successful career. I've got a lot of time for him. I think on the ball he's really good. I think he's defensively aggressive. I think he's good in the air. He's a really good leader. And again, he is always wanting to be better. The amount of time, we go for coffees quite regularly as we live around the corner, and we'll just sit there and just try and put the world to rights for 2 hours, maybe once every 2 weeks. And I can see it in him how much he wants to play and how frustrated he is when he thinks he's putting a good performance and then doesn't start the next week. And I said to him, that's how football can be sometimes. But you've got to hang in there, and eventually your time will come of hitting a run of games, and then it's down to you to grasp it. But it's really, really, really good and pleasing to see that he's getting his chance now, and he's putting in some really good performances.
Certainly is fantastic to see, and obviously credit to the rest of the back line as well. If we had more time, we could wax lyrical about them as well, but there's just over 5 minutes to go until kick-off. And of course, don't forget, if you're watching along live on the YouTube stream at home, if you're a UK fan, you can pick up an audio pass to listen along with Dave and Matt here on Orient Live, or international fans, you can watch along with a match pass for just £10. Head over to the Match Centre on the Orient website to pick up either pass now and get behind the boys in tonight's fixture as we get prepared to take on Gary Caldwell's Exeter. So let's take a look and see how the Grecians line up for this evening's fixture. So starting in goal for Exeter is their number one. It's Joe Whitworth. They've got the back three of Jack Macmillan, Chick Diabate and Edward Francis. In the midfield they have Ryan Woods and Jake Richards. And then an attacking lineup for them with Milenic, Ali, Jake Atkinson, Caleb Watts and Ilmari Niskanen. With just Josh McGuinness, the captain, leading the line for them this evening. And on the bench for them is Sean McDonald. We have Ed James, Joel Colwill, Tony Yagain, Dimitri Mitchell, Jay Bird and Patrick Jones. A dire run of form they're on, Andrew. Kind of opposite ends, but you don't win games on form.
No, and they've been poor since Christmas time. Really, the only standout result for them has been a good 3-1 win over Oxford United in the FA Cup. They've got the reward of welcoming Nottingham Forest down to theirs in next weekend. So perhaps they'll be looking forward to kind of that in the same way that we're looking forward to our FA Cup fixture. And I thought I actually watched that game, and I thought they were really, really good in that particular game against Oxford United. And since then, the games either side of them have really not been at it at all, and I'm not sure they'll be looking over their shoulders too much currently, because the bottom four are a little bit adrift in League One. But it's not really been good enough for them, for at least for their fans. But we've got to take the advantage of that. They've been in a wretched run of form, and like I said right at the top of the show, going away to Exeter on a Tuesday night is not the sort of trip that basically anyone wants to do. But what a time it is to do it.
It seems like we always have to go there on a Tuesday night for some reason. We have the last couple of seasons anyway. But looking at their defence, Jordan, and if we take a look at some, I was going to say highlights, they're more like lowlights if we take a look at their defensive form in the clips here. It looks like a defence that can really be got at, especially I'm conceding 4 to Crawley on Boxing Day. But our attackers will be licking their lips.
Yeah, definitely. I think so, especially with the vein of form that our forward players are in. It almost seems like Jamie Donnelly's either scoring or assisting every game at the moment, and Charlie's scoring or assisting every game at the moment too. And you've got 2 new boys coming in on either side of the wings that are, chomping at the bit to keep playing really well and impress. So yeah, you're right. I think if I was a forward player playing in this game tonight, it would be a game that I'd be looking at where I'd hope to score or assist and contribute in some kind of way. But it's a crazy one actually, because I was speaking to a player of Exeter who goes to the gym that I go to, and his contract just finished a couple of days ago, and he's been there for the last 6 months. And we had a really good conversation because the game was obviously tonight, and it was yesterday that I saw him. And we were just speaking about styles of play, and he said, you know what, we try and play the right way. The manager, Gary Caldwell, he tries, they try and play out from the back, they want to break lines, but they're just going through a period right now that's quite tough. And I know quite a few of the players well. I've played with Woodsy at Birmingham and Ed Francis when I was at Wolves. So I know the type of profile of players they have, and they do like to want to build. But when we know what it's like here, because we try and play the right way as well, in my opinion. And sometimes when you hit a vein of form where it doesn't seem to be going for you, do you then revert to just almost trying to get a result and switch how you play normally game by game? So I think it'll be really interesting to see how Exeter shape up tonight. And also I've saw that they've taken Dimitri Mitchell out of the team, who I spoke to quite a lot because he did his ACL around the same time as my injury last year. So we kept in touch, and he's been on fire since he came back. So I think it might be another bonus for us as that him potentially missing out, or maybe resting him. So hopefully we can take advantage of that.
The schedule's so brutal, Andrew, but some goals would be nice. You've got to balance that, taking the game to Exeter and also managing that workload.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Exeter will provide some goal threat. I mean, I'm surprised Mitchell's not in for the same reason that Jordan said, but Ali's got 10 goals, McGuinness has got 7 goals, so they've got goals throughout their team, and as long as we keep it tight as we have done for the last 2 months now, hopefully we'll be all right.
Well, it's time for the big game. The teams have made their way out onto the pitch at St James's Park. So, under the lights on this cold Tuesday night down on the south coast, let's hand over to Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.